My cousin had her eye on my boyfriend and teamed up with my mom to mess things up for me. Who'd have thought I'd just turn around and find someone even better? Now they're even more jealous. If it wasn't for your cousin, you wouldn't even be alive now. Why do you always go against her? Wow, she really mastered twisting the truth. If she wants him, she can have him. But they don't know those guys aren't really human. My name is Jenny. When I was 7, my cousin Gina tricked me into the remote mountains near our hometown. I survived there alone for 3 nights. To live, I escaped wild animals and drank filthy water from ditches. Just when I was about to give up, Gina showed up with my family to rescue me. People who didn't know what was going on said I owed my life to her. From then on, Gina became my mom's savior. But they didn't know it was Gina who got me into that mess. I spent a week in the hospital, and despite getting multiple critical condition notices from the doctors, I somehow pulled through. Everybody said I was lucky, but what they didn't know was, I actually died. After striking a deal with Satan, he sent me back. I got a second chance at life, but I had to help Satan capture wandering ghosts on Earth. So I became a kind of ghost hunter with my looks as my only weapon. These wandering ghosts were often nobodies filled with resentment while alive. After death, they turned into successful people to enjoy their afterlife. My mission was to lure those ghosts disguised as successful folks and hand them over to the Reaper. To help me out, Satan boosted my looks a bit. So over the years, it seemed like I magically turned into a beauty queen. By the time I was 18, I was drop-dead gorgeous. People gossiped about how I looked nothing like my family. To shut them up, my mom took me for several DNA tests. All proved I was indeed their kid. Gina and I were about the same age, and people loved to compare us. If I was a shining pearl, Gina was just a grain of sand. Gina was always overlooked, causing her resentment towards me to grow. Little acts of sabotage didn't do it for her anymore. I had this feeling Gina was cooking up something big. After our final exams, Gina must have said something to my mom, because she stole my college acceptance letter. They even locked me in the house to keep me from leaving, only opening the door for meals. Next day, as my dad brought me food, I seized the chance to escape, but got caught by my mom and Gina in the living room. Gina smirked like she knew it would happen. See, auntie, I told you she'd try to run. Evil as you, Jenny, you're a disgrace to us. My mom looked at me with so much hatred, like I was her enemy. I couldn't understand it. I'm her only daughter. Why does she dislike me so much? Why does she prefer Gina over me? Then my dad, always submissive to my mom, came over to drag me to my room. I pushed him away. Why aren't you letting me register for college? Gina chimed in, with your looks and charm, why bother studying, Jenny? It's just wasting your parents' money. We're not rich, you know. My mom glared at me and tossed a bunch of photos at me. They were all pictures of me with different men, all sharp dressed in suits, driving fancy cars like Mercedes or Ferraris. And yes, I knew them. All those men were wandering ghosts now sent back to hell by yours truly. Gina didn't expect me to admit it, but she smirked. Auntie, with Jenny's looks, those guys would pay a fortune to marry her. My mom's eyes lit up at the mention of money. To her, enduring hardship with dad meant she deserved comfort and enjoyment now. I got locked up again while they took my phone to call my contacts. But numbers from ghosts sent to hell. Of course, I didn't keep those. All they found was one number. It belonged to Larry, a target I was working on. Larry was different from the other ghosts. He had some real power. He came across well-groomed and probably never got female attention in life, so he resented women. Dead, Larry used his looks to seduce women and treated them badly after, always dodging the Reaper. So Satan called me in. At first sight, Gina fell head over heels for Larry. Of course, with Larry's charm, Gina didn't stand a chance. After a few words, Gina was practically glued to him. Larry showed up at my place, so they had to let me out. He saw me and pushed Gina aside. Jenny, it's been days. Where have you been? I looked at my mom. She and Gina were both stunned. My mom quietly probed about Larry's background. No family, but quite loaded. She changed her tune real quick. Instead of selling me off in one go, she figured it was better to keep a cash cow close. Plus, Gina was into Larry, so my mom proposed a deal. Here's your acceptance letter. As long as you break up with Larry and let Gina have him, you'll get to go to school. Gina's standing there, smugly watching me. I know she's hoping to see some pain and sorrow in my eyes, but there's none of that. After living with my mom for 18 years, I've long known what kind of person she is. As for Larry, he's just a drifter. I'd love to send him to hell, and I certainly won't feel bad about it. I took my acceptance letter and before I left, I reminded them that Larry's no good. Just because he says some nice things doesn't mean he's into you. That's just his usual style. My words were like throwing a firecracker at the end of a cat's tail, blowing up Gina's years of insecurity. Jenny, do you think the world revolves around you? I don't think Larry likes you that much. I'll be with him, and I'll be better at it than you, Gina said, already seeing herself as some rich lady because of him. Thinking of Larry's tactics made me smirk. I wonder if she'll still be laughing in the future. It didn't take long for Gina to hook up with him. Larry's got his own ways with girls. Every few days, Gina gets a pricey new bag and shows it off to me. Larry takes Gina to all sorts of events she's never been to before. All this makes Gina feel like she's climbed the social ladder, acting all high and mighty. My mom's thrilled too, so she leaves me alone. Meanwhile, I keep rounding up wandering spirits for Satan and get ready for school. All these years, I've done my tasks well. To thank me, Satan frequently rewards me handsomely. Of course, using earthly money. I've managed to save quite a bit too. After turning 18, I bought an apartment in the city where I would attend university. I've wanted to break away from that family for a long time, and finally, I got the chance. I left home early, deleted all their contacts, and moved into my new place. From the moment my mom isolated me for Gina, they stopped being my family. September came, the nationwide school start. The day I went to register at college, I caused quite a stir on campus, all because of my looks. I made it onto the school's hot list even before I officially started, but none of this interested me much. I was more eager to complete Satan's new mission. Though Larry hadn't been officially dealt with, Satan sent me a new task surprisingly soon. This time, the reward was extremely tempting. Satan said this target wasn't just hanging around the living world after dying. It escaped from hell. No one knew where it was, just that it had a mark of a red spider lily. You're Jenny, huh? Not much to look at. I was so deep in thought that I didn't realize I was already in the dorm room. It was a 4-person room, and my 3 roommates were standing in front of me, and among them was Gina. Gina, didn't your scores mean you couldn't get into this school? Gina's face darkened as if you could wring water from a dirty rag. Gina, who? Are you nuts? When did they start letting crazies into this school? Gina's rebuttal seemed weak to me. The girl on Gina's left hooked her arm affectionately. Forget about her. Let's go out to eat later. I heard there are plenty of delicious places just off campus. Sure, it's on me. Gina nodded and threw a warning glare at me. I didn't know who this Dora was they were talking about, but clearly, Gina took on the name Dora to get into this school. I didn't want to get involved, but Gina was being so obvious about everything in the dorm. Oh my god, Dora, did your boyfriend give you this? Roommate Judy looked at her enviously. That's the new Armani Valentine's special. He really spoils you. Gina tossed me a smug look and said, not really, he just wants to give me the best. She then pulled out more jewelry and clothes, putting on a show. He keeps giving me so much. My locker's about to burst. Seriously, why are the lockers so small here? I knew Larry's MO. When he starts showering with gifts, it means he's about ready to play his games. Looks like Larry's tired of Gina, yet she's still delirious with happiness. Next month my boyfriend is renting a yacht for my birthday. Let's all go. Dora, that's amazing. Gina's never been the center of attention, and she got lost in all the envy. She looked at me challengingly. Jenny, why don't you come too? Dora, you need to be cautious. With some people, you never know. They might try to snag your boyfriend. Yeah, Dora, with a face like that, doesn't look like someone who'd stay put. Thanks to Gina's spreading stories, in just a few days, I had earned myself a reputation for being someone who gets around on campus. Relax, my boyfriend's definitely not into her. After all, Gina had stolen him from me and was confident since I'd let her. I stood up with a loud scrape of the chair, and all their eyes landed on me. Just a heads up, maybe don't go to that yacht thing. Or else what? Some people just can't handle being left out, so they diss what they can't have. I think you're just jealous of Dora having such a great boyfriend, clearly trying to help. But some people just have to jump into a burning fire when others won't listen. I've been trying to find that red spider lily thing for a while. If it wasn't for Gina always getting in the way, I'd have almost forgotten about Larry. But it wasn't a waste. I did find some leads. That red spider lily likes to play hero, showing up at places full of conflict, stepping in randomly. I've caught all kinds of spirits over the years, but I've never seen one like this. Honestly, it's piqued my curiosity, and I'm eager to see what this red spider lily really looks like. To help me spot humans from spirits, Satan granted me a third eye, the ghost eye. No matter how well they disguise themselves, in a sea of people, I could sense them out. This sensing ability covers a 100-kilometer radius for any wandering spirits. So to find those spirits, I often have to run around all over the place. Thankfully, Satan is one heck of an understanding boss. He reimburses all expenses for catching wandering spirits, including travel costs. Heck, sometimes when he sees I'm extra worn out, he even throws in a hefty bonus. Honestly, there are times when I'm so touched that I wonder if I should work for him forever. Last time, I sensed that Spider Lily was back in City A. I thought tracking it down would take a lot of effort, but I sensed it again soon. The place, school. I got back to my dorm from the library, but Gina and the girls weren't there. Almost forgot tonight's that yacht party Gina mentioned. And would you believe it? She left an invite for me. Jenny, you can't miss my happy moment. If you don't come tonight, I'll post pics of you cozying up to those old geezers on the forum. Don't try threatening me about my records. Auntie won't spare you. See you tonight. I closed the invite. Something's off. Knowing Gina all these years, I'm certain there's more to it than a simple party. Might as well jump right into the trap she set. Slipped into my best dress, silver white, with a thigh slit that totally showed off my figure. Gina's yacht was at the grandest wharf in the city, and it screamed luxury, but it was oddly quiet. Definitely not a party vibe. Are you Jenny? A bunch of men held a photo, comparing it to my face. Once sure, they flashed toothy grins. You're a stunner. We're hitting the jackpot tonight. Did Gina send you? I glanced at the 360-degree cameras. Gina was pulling out all stops to get me. Where are they? Why worry about them? Let's have our fun, right guys? They laughed, nauseatingly, their hands trying to touch my face. Ever heard of toothbrushes? I waved away their foul breath. Say what? Wait till you're crying later. They eyed me like prey. Really? After dealing with fierce spirits for so long, I can't handle some punks. As they made a move again, I showed them the real meaning of desperate pleading. No, please, have mercy, miss. We were just pawns. Where's Gina? They went with a guy back there. We were just told to wait for you, nothing else. Can you swim? They dumbly nodded, so I tossed them into the river. If you're lucky, you'll reach the shore in 20 minutes. Don't let me see you again. Watching them scramble for the banks, I headed to the back of the yacht. The man they mentioned must be Larry. Where there's a vengeful spirit, the atmosphere is heavy. I've seen all kinds of ghosts and countless bizarre sights before, but none made my skin crawl like this scene. The room was littered with explicit items, torn clothes, blood-stained floors, and 3 barely conscious girls. The smell of blood was overpowering. Gina now looked way worse than the 7-year-old me, who got tricked into the hills. Judy, help us. Lily and Judy were now pleading like I was their savior. It's funny, they weren't the ones mocking me before, were they? Larry, done with his depravity, looked at me like I was his next course. Jenny, you came too, ready to join the game. He walked closer, and his rotten stench made me gag. I frowned, which seemed to tick him off. Larry's ugly past raged on in him. You hussy, why look down on me? Everyone's been there for you. Stop pretending. Larry, just being near you is revolting. I provoked him on purpose. Jenny, you wanna die? Larry kicked away a belt. I flexed my arms, ready to use force on a spirit for the first time. Not really my style. She fears the dark. She's useless in it. Out of nowhere, Gina shouted at Larry. Dora, are you insane? Jenny's our only hope. No way do I need her help. If I'm going down, she's coming with me. I chuckled. Gina, you remember why I fear the dark? Back when I was 5 and alone, Gina locked me in a closet overnight. My parents didn't even notice I was gone. They only found me passed out in there when they needed clothes for work the next day. I even got a beating for dirtying their clothes with my shoes. No one believed me when I told them Gina locked me in. Larry, cruelly amused, pulled the room switch. The sudden darkness was disorienting, but soon, I was grinning in the shadows. Gina remembered my fear, but she didn't know that years with spirits had rid me of it. Larry was just a glowing blob in the dark to my ghost-gifted eyes. There were screams, and lights came back. Larry stood there, terrified, but I wasn't even looking at him. In the room with me was something else. A blood-red spider lily marking glistened on its forehead, daringly glaring at me. Its gaze was intense, like it might devour me whole. And then, poof, it disappeared. It's like it never even happened. Like it was all just a figment of my imagination. That's when I noticed that Gina and the other 2 had passed out cold. How do you have a ghost binding rope? Are you the Grim Reaper? Larry shouted, fighting like hell. But how could a wandering ghost escape from that rope? I'm not the Grim Reaper, but they are on their way. Before getting on this cruise, I planned to catch Larry. The Grim Reapers should be coming now. No, I can't go. Every captured ghost says that. The Reapers got there fast, gave me a quick nod, and took Larry away. That scourge finally met its end, but just as the Reapers left, that flower popped up again. So it wasn't just a hallucination. You should have thanked me just now, the flower said, glancing at the unconscious Gina and her friends. Although it knew I had a ghost binding rope, it didn't seem scared at all. Aren't you afraid of me? I'm more curious about you than afraid of you. It smiled, and the flower on its forehead seemed to bloom even brighter. The whole, well, ghost looked enchanting, like a noble young scholar from a painting. Before I could say anything, it vanished again. I figured it was a weird ghost and decided to just wait and see. Gina had cameras installed all over the yacht, planning to record me getting screwed over, but it backfired on her. Somehow, videos of the three got leaked on the school forum. Though they were quickly taken down, they were now infamous. Judy and Lily completely broke ties with Gina. They both blamed Gina for making them meet a jerk like Larry in the first place. Gina felt she was a victim too, saying it was my fault for introducing Larry to her. She didn't think about how she teamed up with my mom to win Larry over from me. Eventually, Gina's fake school enrollment was exposed. It wasn't me, it was Lily and Judy. They were so mad at Gina, they followed up on what I'd mentioned and dug into her high school records. They even found Dora, the victim whose identity Gina had stolen. Dora appeared in a video, tearfully accusing Gina and my mom of stealing her academic achievements. The fake enrollment news stirred a big fuss. Students were outraged after working hard for years, only to see someone cheat their way in. Gina soon got her dismissal notice. No prestigious school, or even a regular one, would take a student with fake credentials. Gina pinned everything on me. I could already imagine the lies she'd spin to my mom. The two probably hate my guts by now, but I've made up my mind not to go back. They are no longer my concern. The flower ghost started showing up around me more often afterward. Every time, it made a big scene, either a flashy sports car or a helicopter landing on campus. Soon enough, rumors about me dating a rich guy were blowing up the forum again. This was actually alright with me. It helped fend off unwanted attention. I'd thought about shaking off that flashy ghost, but it was clever, always vanishing before I could get my rope out. I'd asked around about it, even tried asking Satan, but he played dumb every time. After Gina was expelled, word was she studied hard for a few months, but she couldn't stand the grind and ended up searching for jobs with just a high school diploma. Of course, it didn't land her anything good. She's not one to handle tough jobs. Eventually, my mom helped her start making money through short videos. She had no talent and resorted to making borderline content for views. That's how she got some buzz, which I only found out by stumbling across one of her videos online. I thought as long as I stayed away, Gina and I would never cross paths again. Then, all of a sudden, a scandal involving me blew up everywhere. My mom went on the internet, ranting about how raising a daughter for 18 years was worse than raising a dog. Gina filmed the video for her and posted it under her account. In it, my mom portrayed herself as the self-sacrificing parent, while I was some rebellious kid chasing rich guys. She claimed I secretly bought a house with money earned from selling myself and abandoned my parents. They even exposed my name and photo in the video, which went viral, and the comments were just awful. Stuff like no wonder she bought a house with looks like that. Someone dug up that I was the new campus beauty queen. That stirred even more sarcastic comments, and some users even demanded my expulsion from the school for being a disgrace. The school called me in, but given my excellent record and good behavior, the faculty backed me. So it didn't turn into a bigger issue. Seeing that my studies weren't affected, they switched tactics and started accusing me on moral grounds. Things got pretty intense, and then my parents showed up at my door with Gina. When I saw Gina again, I could hardly believe my eyes. In just a few months, she'd changed quite a bit. I figured she'd had quite a few surgeries to gain more followers, but since she didn't have much money, she chose a sketchy clinic. She looked like a botched plastic surgery victim, but Gina didn't seem to notice, and even flipped her hair like she looked good. My mom saw my apartment and her eyes were full of greed. She put her hands on her hips and yelled, "Oh, so this is why you didn't come home during the holidays, living in such a big place in the city." She and Gina walked right in, acting like they owned the place. "Tomorrow, go to City Hall and transfer this apartment to Gina." My mom went into my room, tossed all my stuff out, and put in Gina's. "This is the master bedroom, now Gina's. You can take the smaller one." I pretended not to notice the camera in Gina's hand and called the cops right away. My dad raised his hand to hit me, but this time I didn't back down. I pulled Gina in front of me, so she took the slap meant for me. Gina burst into tears, ready to fight me, but the cops kicked my family out. Mom was not happy, and before leaving, she warned me, "Jenny, I'm your mother, you'll regret this, and I'll be waiting for you to beg me." The next day, the video of me kicking my own mom out went viral again. By the third day, the video only showed me calling the cops without the backstory. I wasn't scared of blowing this up. I didn't care about their little tricks. Maybe because I often deal with death, fame and status don't matter much to me. Over the years, dealing with wandering spirits, I developed a philosophy: life is too short, enjoy it. I kept living my life, capturing spirits, and dealing with the flower of death. Realizing they couldn't wait me out, Mom and Gina came back, trying another angle. The internet's buzz fades, and they knew they wouldn't have leverage for long. Did Nick buy this place for you? Nick, that's the human name of the flower of death. Looks like Gina's done some digging. Seeing my surprised look, Gina smirked. You didn't think I knew, huh? You're only here because of your looks. I touched my soft, flawless face, saying, well, you're not wrong. Shameless. Gina gritted her teeth. Mom pulled her aside to calm her down. Jenny, give Nick to Gina. She still had that entitled tone, and I couldn't help but laugh. Remember Larry, didn't learn from before. Not scared I'll offer a jerk to you again. This time is different. Gina poked her head out from Mom's arms. I checked. Nick has family, good background. He's not like Larry. I rolled my eyes. No wonder the flower of death is scary, living better than a human. You describe him so perfectly. So why would I give him up? Jenny, without your sister, you wouldn't be alive today. Guys are everywhere. Why fight over one? Gina, you've held on to being my savior for years. Dare to speak the truth. Gina looked evasive, acting all pitiful. Mom was moved. Jenny, so what if Gina deceived you back then? It's because you were foolish. So Mom knew all along. Just used the savior card to control me for years. Honestly, I had doubts about this for a long time. Mary, is Gina actually your daughter? Is that why you're so good to her? Mom got anxious. What are you talking about? You know why I care about Gina. She's obedient and sensible. Her eagerness to explain is weird. If you want us to handle the online mess, give me Nick's contact and break up with him in front of me. Alright, I called Nick right in front of them. Nick showed up quickly. It's always eager to meet me. When it heard about the breakup, Nick was stunned. It had always been the one taking the initiative, but I was indifferent because of its motives. Mom quickly pushed Gina in front of Nick. Mr. Nick, this is Jenny's sister, Gina. Jenny is flirtatious, unlike her sister. You should get to know each other. Nick looked at me in surprise and then smirked. Alright, seeing how carefree Nick looked, I suddenly started to feel a bit sorry for Gina. Gina thought she had finally escaped her misery and found a wealthy guy, but she didn't realize it was a deeper pit than Larry. Gina began frequently sharing her relationship online, boasting in every post that she had a rich boyfriend. But Nick never appeared in her videos, just blurry shots of his back. However, the luxurious mansion in the videos did bring Gina a lot of followers. Sometimes my mom would show up in Gina's videos, looking all motherly and daughterly. Seeing their smug smiles, I knew this wouldn't last long. I started looking into my mom's past, and didn't pay much attention to Gina's account. I found some stuff I wasn't expecting. Before I could reach out to them, they came to me first. This time, it wasn't just my parents and Gina, but Gina's parents, too. Gina was in a wheelchair, looking so thin she was practically skin and bones. My mom stood by her, eyes red. They all looked at me weirdly, like I was nothing but an object. Jenny, please, my aunt begged, help your sister. She's sick, and only you can save her. Gina's mom knelt before me, and before I knew it, they all took action against me. My dad pulled some ropes out of a bag and dragged me inside the house. Struggling, I overheard their conversation. That's when I learned Gina had been suffering from severe insomnia. Even if she did sleep, nightmares would wake her up. At night she'd act crazy, claiming there were ghosts. They took her to the hospital, but nothing unusual showed up. My mom heard about some self-proclaimed expert who said Gina had attracted some unclean thing, and Satan wanted her dead. This scared my mom badly, and she spent a lot of money to find out how to save Gina. The so-called solution was to find someone the same age to take Gina's place and trick death. That's when my mom thought of me, leading to today's situation. My dad, having worked labor jobs all his life, was strong, and I started to see red. They looked down at me, watching me slowly stop struggling. My dad tossed me aside, and they sat on my sofa, discussing how to handle my body. Gina, wrapped in my new blanket, cowered fearfully in my mom's arms. Aunt, I'm scared. Jenny won't come after me for revenge, will she? Said Gina. My mom comforted her, saying, don't worry, with the amulet from that expert, she'll be turned to ashes if she dares. Gina laughed coldly, looking at me victorious. She had no idea I can't die. As an underworld messenger, I can't die. But my soul did leave my body and took a trip to hell. I wanted to chat with Satan, but saw someone unexpected instead. Not a person, a ghost. Nick, how are you here? Nick and Satan, who was with him, were stunned. What are you doing here? Satan asked, surprised. I should be asking you that, I said. What's going on? Didn't you send me to bring her back? How is she here? Satan, avoiding my gaze, mumbled, you two talk. Hell's Hell's busy, I gotta go. Satan darted away quickly, scared I'd pin him down. What kind of ghost are you? Nick asked. I touched my neck, thanks to you. Nick's touch was gentle, like it could ease my pain. He looked at me with longing, as if seeing an old lover. I didn't get why he always looked at me that way. Did we know each other before? Nick didn't answer, but took me somewhere instead. Hell has two bridges. The bridge of helplessness, known to all for reincarnation, and the bridge of the beyond, leading to the 18 layers of hell. Everyone who crosses it faces destruction. Why did Nick bring me here? Nick said, there was someone I liked. First time I met her, she was on this bridge, back when it was a sea of flowers. I looked at the bare bridge. Did she burn the flowers, hence landing here? I asked. Nick laughed. Not really. She wasn't meant to be on this side. She might have gotten lost. I got curious, then what happened? Ignoring my question, Nick asked, wanna take a stroll? Crazy, to go up as a spirit. But Nick wouldn't let me refuse, pulling me onto the bridge. As I suspected his intentions, red flowers suddenly bloomed everywhere, setting the world aflame. My forehead burned, unlocking memories that overwhelmed me. Breaking free from Nick's grasp, I fled hell. I returned to my body where my mom and the others were still animatedly discussing disposing of my corpse, oblivious to my return to life. Gina suggested dismembering me. My mom disagreed. She suggested taking me back home and claiming I died of illness, leaving me in the woods behind the village. Everyone thought it was the best idea. Standing behind them, I laughed darkly. They screamed like they'd seen a ghost. Mike, you couldn't even strangle her properly. What use are you? My mom said, thinking it was my dad's fault I survived. Do it now. We need Gina to live. Gina's mom took the rope from my dad. The way they went nuts made it seem like I was Gina's scapegoat. Raised someone else's kid for 18 years, and now they are being used to attack me. How pathetic. What do you mean? Gina's mom was stunned, the rope in her hand just hanging there. You're talking nonsense. I'll end you, you little brat. Gina's dad was more murderous than ever towards me. I tossed over all the evidence I had gathered. Take a look at what your dear wife and husband have been up to behind your back. Gina's not my cousin. We don't share a drop of blood, but she's my mom's biological daughter, born from her and Gina's dad. Me, I'm just a baby she found abandoned by the roadside, to cover things up. My mom was into Gina's dad when she was young, but my family was too poor. Weighing pros and cons, Gina's dad chose Gina's mom, whose family was better off. My mom was pissed, thinking if she couldn't grow old with her true love, she'd at least be family with him. So, even if she looked down on my dad, she still married him. Under one roof, old flames reignited, leading to trouble. Both my mom and Gina's mom got pregnant around the same time. Gina's mom gave birth to a stillborn, and she fainted from the strain. Seizing her chance, my mom switched me for that stillborn, wanting her child to be with his real dad. Then, she found an abandoned infant, me, and claimed me as her own. Those countless DNA tests they did on me, my mom tampered with them to keep her secret. Gina's mom snapped back to reality, and tried to strangle Gina's dad. My dad, who was a pushover all his life, suddenly toughened up and slapped my mom hard. Chaos erupted, with no one paying Gina any mind. Her gaze was full of hate for me, but she was in a wheelchair, unable to move. I went up to her, pretty chaotic. Who do you think will accept you as their daughter in the end? She tried to slap me, but so weakly that with a flick of my hand, she ended up hitting herself dizzy. Oh, and by the way, I heard you have nightmares every night. Let me share a secret. Those ghosts are real, you know. Gina went pale with fright. In the end, I called the cops, charging them with attempted murder, sending them all to jail. Gina went mad, ended up in a mental hospital, screaming every night that ghosts were after her, probably haunted by the bad things she'd done before. But I didn't care anymore, cause they were all out of my life for good. However, I wasn't entirely free. Since recovering my memories from the other side, Nick hadn't let me go. Remember everything now. I traced the little flower mark on my forehead. Yeah, I remember. I'm not Jenny. I'm Maggie, born in 1920, died at 18 in war, ended up in hell, supposed to head to the Bridge of Forgetfulness, but accidentally took the Bridge of Flowers. Satan's son saved my wayward soul there, following me onto the bridge. In that moment, fields of flowers wilted, leaving only 2 marks on our foreheads. I clung to the world of the living, refusing to cross that bridge, wanting to stay. I would transform into different people, and sneak to the human world sometimes. But every time, I'd get pulled back. I mean, what's a ghost doing roaming Earth anyway? Seeing how much I loved escaping, Satan gave me a ghost-catching job. Why couldn't I remember some things before? Cause I accidentally sipped half a bowl of that forgetful soup once. Still gonna run? Nick asked, all threatening like he might swallow me whole. I thought about it seriously. Run. There's so much fun stuff down on Earth, you know.